Test. Okay. So, hey everyone, welcome to the stream. Today we're going to be diving into Reaktor, building out something that I think is good for everyone that does sound design. And we're going to be building out a patch for a vintage lead. So we're going to take our inspiration from a vintage lead synth, and just want to welcome everyone to the stream. And I'm going to show you how to build a vintage style synth today, synth lead in Reaktor, and it's going to be quick, and it's going to be fun, and perfect for anyone who loves rich, expressive sounds for solos and melodies, etc. So we'll be using just a few basic components. That'll be our oscillator, a filter, an envelope, and some modulation. So we're going to jump right in. When you open up Reaktor, you're going to be greeted with this screen. You're going to have several options. One is the play section, one is the patch section, one is the build section. Today we're going to be jumping into the build section because it has the most deep level of building, let's say, modulation in terms of building out our synth samplers and effects from scratch. So the most amount of modulation we can do is in the build section. So we're going to open that up, and we're going to start from scratch. So we're going to need a few components. And the first thing we're going to bring in is a note in from the player section. We're going to bring out a note in. So that's going to take our note in from our MIDI keyboard and bring it into the software. So we're going to keep going. And once we have a note in, we're going to grab a sawtooth, going to grab an oscillator. And we can actually change our bento box oscillator to a sawtooth wave. And from that point, this is classic for leads or any sounds that we want to be lead because of its rich harmonic content. So I'm going to actually add in a mix so I can blend multiple oscillators together. And I'm going to add in a few other components that we're going to need. So let's preview how this sounds before anything else is done. And let's preview it. So as you can hear the sound now. It's just an oscillator. I mean, just a saw wave. It's a raw saw wave coming through. So now we're gonna take that saw wave and we're going to manipulate it a little bit more and make it to something that we would like to hear in our music, in our sound design projects, or if we're using a cinematic score or any other piece of work that we want to use it in. So now it's nice and raw. So we want to make it richer, and we're going to lay down, let's say, a pulse wave. So I'm going to add in another oscillator in, and we can add in a pulse wave. We can duplicate this. So I'm going to duplicate it right underneath. I'm going to name my oscillators just so that we have some kind of organization in terms of which oscillator is which. And once they're named, I'm going to bring in the second oscillator. I'm going to change it to a pulse wave. And then we're going to continue with our sound design. So we can test that out. We can listen to our oscillator. Just going to turn on our mix knobs. And we can hear the sounds blending nicely together. They're kind of clashing a little bit. And that's kind of what we want. We want a richer sound. Give us a nice pulsy sound. So these are about like 50%. And I'm going to add in one more thing just so I can control the on and off of these oscillators. I'm just going to add in a amp. So that will help me control my on and off. So I can leave my controls where they are. So now from here, I'm going to be adding in a filter to shape the sound. And we're going to bring that in just after our, let's add it in after our mix knob to shape our complete sound. We could add a filter for each one, but I think I'm going to add in a filter for this one. We'll see how it sounds, and then we'll tweak from there. So we can hear our two waveforms. no filtering. Just filtering out some of the notes now. Some of the frequencies, I should say. And just gotta turn it up a little bit more. So any parameter that you have in your oscillator, you can modulate it over time or within the moment. And I'm liking the way this filter is sounding when we sweep. So this is called key tracking, and literally when you play higher notes, it can, as you turn it to the right, it plays them softer. As you play to the bottom, it plays harder. I'm liking the way this is sounding, so I'm gonna save a snapshot of this just in my ensemble view. I'm gonna call this just plush, and then I'm gonna tweak the knob by adding in a LFO. But let's keep tweaking the sound because I'm liking the way it's sounding. So it's already sounding musical with the filter, and it gives it a little more personality to the tone. So we played a little bit with the cutoff, a little bit with the key tracking, and now let's add some movement with an envelope. We're gonna add an ADSR envelope to modulate that filter cutoff. So I'm gonna go back in, and we're gonna bring in a envelope, ADSR envelope. I'm gonna add that to the actual filter itself. The reason I'm adding it to the filter is because I want to gain more control over the attack, decay, sustain, and release of the filter as I hit pitches. So you can hear the changes in the pitches as we progress through. Let's keep going, and let's tweak it some more. So these filters, as you can see, add some personality to the tone over time. And now let's add a little bit of movement with that. Gonna need to add one more envelope just on the amp envelope, just so we can control when we hit a key that something happens. So I'm actually gonna name this one, just so we don't get confused with our naming. We're gonna name this one filter ADSR. We're going to name this one amp ADSR. So they're completely properly named, so we know exactly what they do in terms of our mix. So in terms of our modular synth. So I'm going to add a little modulation. Oh, that's not the right ADSR, it's this one. Maybe a little reverb on the end of that, just to give it some more character. Gonna go in and design that. Okay, and gonna bring in blocks primes, just a simple reverb on the end of this. Give us some I also want some movement on the end of this, so I'm gonna add in an LFO. The sky's the limit pretty much on what you can do, but just showing you what you can do with some simple blocks over time. I want to modulate my oscillators, or we can do it to the, let's do it to the, I want to modulate the cutoff of of the filter. So we're going to bring that in here. Speed it up. So a little bit of movement. Okay, so that's sounding pretty good. So we made it a little more expressive by adding in the LFO for our oscillator. We can actually add another one to our pitch to make it more exciting. I'm gonna add one into one of our oscillators just for example. We can add it into our pitch and really make it a little more crazy. Add some FM actually. Let's remember to rename our LFOs. LFO 1, LFO 2. Okay, so there you have it. We brought in a few modules, mixed it up, and created ourselves a lead style synth that's expressive, playable and ready for your tracks. If you liked the session today, don't forget to click the link in the description for more in-depth sound design training and tutorials. And stay tuned for my next live stream. That'll be another one every day. And peace out for now.